Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Shivangi Mishra. Let's begin with the headlines first. Pakistan's human rights situation in a downward spiral. Cycle tracks being constructed in Srinagar under Smart City project. And demonstrations held in Gilgit over poor road management. Let's begin the show. The Islamic Republic of Pakistan is facing one of the most severe human rights crises amidst the prevailing political and economic chaos in the country. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, in its latest report, has highlighted the failure of the legislature, judiciary, and the executive in fulfilling their duty to safeguard citizens from political and economic exploitation. The incidence of enforced disappearances, the safety of religious minorities or lack thereof, and the diminishing rights of women and children have remained a grave cause of concern. We have a report.
The year 2022 was chaotic and fatal for the people in Pakistan. The devastating floods last monsoon led to extreme poverty, high inflation, medical crises, and unemployment. The country's economy not only took a nosedive, but a political upheaval unfolded following the ousting of former Prime Minister Imran Khan through a no-confidence motion in April of last year. These calamities added to the woes of the people in Pakistan. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, in its almost 300-page annual report, has raised concerns over Pakistan's human rights situation, not only economic and political, but security as well. Terrorism-related incidents in the country claimed 533 lives in 2022. The report hits the government hard for their growing intolerance towards dissenting opinions and free speech, and for the enforced disappearances of political activists and journalists. The report also highlighted custodial torture and sedition charges against political opponents, journalists, and activists.
The reason why enforced disappearances are increasing, or this method is used by the military, again the military is involved in this, is because they do not have a justification for imprisoning people. So they just put them in secret prisons. These are political prisoners, but they have no political representation because they're in secret prisons, and where they're tortured, where they're sometimes even killed.
The instances of enforced disappearances of political activists, journalists, and human rights defenders remains a grave concern for the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. As per its report, at least 2,210 enforced disappearances cases remained unsolved by the end of 2022. Last year, Punjab reported 57 cases of enforced disappearances, whereas Sindh reported 67 cases. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa reported 202, and in Balochistan, a staggering 257 such cases came to light. The Human Rights Commission is further concerned by the extrajudicial killings of missing persons in the country. It cited an incident in July of 2022 when the Pakistani intelligence agency, the ISI, claimed killing 9 militants in the Ziyarat area of Balochistan. However, after protests by the relatives of these missing persons in Quetta, it emerged that 5 of those killed were forcibly disappeared persons and were not in fact militants.
Pakistan still thinks that these are the people whom I have to suppress and oppress them till I have muscles. So they are using their muscle to control the land. On the other side, the Baloch people they are being systematically eliminated, disappeared by force, displaced from their areas, facing extrajudicial killings.
The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan also indicated their concern for the declining Press Freedom Index as the country ranks 150th amongst 180 countries and territories across the globe. The report cited the journalists and the vernacular press who said that they were still compelled to toe the government line and could not report independently for fear of reprisal by state and non-state actors. People's issues from Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa received negligible coverage in the mainstream media, especially on private TV news channels. This was especially true of issues such as the ongoing conflict between the state and Baloch nationalists, grievous human rights violations such as enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings, poor governance, as well as matters of economic and social concern. As the economic and political situation remains grim in Pakistan, the human rights situation is expected to deteriorate, leaving Pakistani citizens with one more area of despair in their already grim lives.
Authorities in Jammu and Kashmir are determined to make efforts that go a long way in enhancing the infrastructure of different cities. Various development projects are currently ongoing under the Smart City project to improve the infrastructure of the region. In Jammu and Kashmir's Srinagar city too, authorities are upgrading the road infrastructure and modernizing the transportation facilities in a way that doesn't come at a cost of the environment. Take a look. The central government's Smart City mission is aimed to drive economic growth and improve the quality of life of the people living in the urban areas. Under the mission, authorities have identified smart cities and have started projects to upgrade their urban infrastructure. In Srinagar city of Jammu and Kashmir, the project to construct cycle tracks and docking stations is underway and is expected to transform the lifestyle of the citizens and tourists alike.
बहुत अच्छी बात है, पोल्यूशन फ्री होगा, अब सिटी पोल्यूशन फ्री होगी और यहाँ के जो बच्चे हैं वो साइकिलिंग करेंगे, जो बाकी एक्सरसाइज डेली एक्सरसाइज होते हैं साइकिलिंग से वो कर लेंगे, बहुत अच्छी बात है। और 370 ख़त्म होने के बाद जो डेवलपमेंट का नारा दिया गया था, तो मेरे ख्याल से ये अब डेवलपमेंट जो है वो अब रफ्तार पकड़ रही है। और साइकिल ट्रैक श्रीनगर में इससे पहले हमने जो है बाहर जम्मू कश्मीर के बाहर ऐसी चीज़ें देखी थी, लेकिन अब श्रीनगर में देखिए तो बहुत अच्छी बात है और बहुत यहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट को जितनी तारीफ की जाए उतनी कम है।
Cycle tracks are being constructed in various parts of the city to promote cycling as a sustainable mode of transportation and improve people's lifestyles. The project also aims to provide convenient access to bike rental services to citizens through docking stations equipped with smart technology. Through the construction of cycling tracks, the government is not only promoting a healthy lifestyle among the citizens, but also laying the foundation for an eco-friendly model of development.
हमने एक पब्लिक बाइसिकल शेयरिंग स्कीम लॉन्च की है। उसमें हम करीबन शहर में, पूरे शहर में 100 डॉकिंग स्टेशंस बना रहे हैं जहाँ पे साइकिल्स रहेंगे। करीबन 1000 साइकिल्स के आसपास इन स्टेशंस पे लग जाएंगे। उसमें ये होता है कि आपको अगर कहीं अपनी डेस्टिनेशन पे जाना है तो आप डॉकिंग स्टेशन से साइकिल ले सकते हैं और दूसरे स्टेशन पे या तीसरे स्टेशन पे जहाँ भी आपको जाना हो आप वहाँ अपना साइकिल वापस छोड़ के अपनी पेमेंट कर सकते हैं। उसमें जो टर्म्स ऑफ पेमेंट है वो ये है कि पहले आधे घंटे के लिए फ़िलहाल फ्री है और नेक्स्ट हाफ एन आवर के शायद 10 रुपये पर आधा घंटा है। तो इसमें एम ये है कि हम पूरे शहर में एक साइकिलिंग का माहौल पैदा कर लें और लोग इस जो मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्ट है इसकी तरफ माइल हो जाएं।
To develop Srinagar into a smart city, the Office of Srinagar Smart City Limited has received a total grant of Rs 321.4 crore, out of which Rs 194 crore has been received from the central government, while a budget of Rs 127.4 crore from the Jammu and Kashmir government. To make sure that development is holistic and reaches every facet of people's lifestyles, broad themes for development have been decided upon, which include water supply, urban mobility, city beautification through urban art, heritage conservation, and waste management, among many others. As per the official website of the Srinagar Smart City project, a total of 137 projects have been taken up, out of which 66 have been completed and 71 remaining are underway. It is through initiatives like these that Jammu and Kashmir is turning into a better, smart and more beautiful territory, which has resulted in record footfall of tourists from across the world. Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Rising temperature, decrease in precipitation and frequency of dust storms in Iraq have affected the environment that bees need to produce honey, lowering their productivity and the quality of the honey produced in the country. Ali Mirdan Fali is one of the many local beekeepers who are worried that changing environmental conditions are driving them out of business. But while Fali is still producing honey, another beekeeper, Kazim Altai, has given up. Vendor and apiary owner Bashir Haider explained how cheaper imported honey are leaving local producers' jars on the shelves. According to the United Nations, Iraq is the fifth most vulnerable country in the world to the climate crisis. Drought and extreme temperature are drying up farmland and making large parts of Iraq barely habitable during the summer months. Over 200,000 athletes around the world took part in the 10th running of the Wings for Life World Run charity race. Organizers said that 200,000 athletes of 192 nationalities in 158 countries took part in the event, the biggest running event in the world to raise funds for spinal cord research. The race started at 11 GMT, exactly the same time in each country. There was no finish line, but instead there was a catcher car that began its chase 30 minutes after the start signal. The male athlete to cover the furthest distance before being caught by the catcher car was Joe Fukuda of Japan, who completed 69.01 km at the event held in Shinjuku city of Tokyo. It was the second time he had won the event. The best performance by a woman was Kasia Skoda of Poland with a distance of 55.07 km, taking 3 hours 29 minutes 22 seconds at the event in Poznan of Poland. The Kathmandu District Court has extended 4 days of judicial custody to former Home Minister and leader of the Nepali Congress, Bal Krishna Khand, in a fake refugee scam. Khand was first taken for medical checkups, then to the office of the Attorney General and District Court, where the Kathmandu Police Circle was granted permission to keep him in custody to further investigate the matter. Wearing a cap and a mask to cover his face, Khand walked cuffs-free as he was escorted in a police van to the judicial bodies for further procedures. On Wednesday, the former Home Minister was arrested at his residence by a team from Kathmandu Police Circle. Likewise, his personal aide, Narendra Kesi, in connection to the case later on the day. Addressing the House session on Wednesday, Gagan Kumar Thapa, the General Secretary, applauded the move of the arrest of the former Home Minister and alerted the government not to backtrack over the investigation currently ongoing. Nepal's Home Ministry had formed a task force to find out how to resettle the remaining Bhutanese refugees who had been denied resettlement. The investigative report by CIJ disclosed the infiltration by a government official, Rai, in the report, where he managed to manipulate the number of left-out refugees for resettlement.
Infrastructure and roads are crucial parts of development for any region. But for the people of illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, a good road infrastructure, housing and efficient communication facilities are still a distant dream. Simmering with angst, the locals recently held demonstrations to protest against the administration for poor road infrastructure in Gilgit-Baltistan. We have a report.
For the last 7 decades, people across illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan are leading a life of second-class citizens in their own homeland. All thanks to Pakistan and its puppets in Gilgit-Baltistan, who are sitting in power. They have not just kept the people deprived of their rights, but also of basic amenities. Almost every district of the occupied territory is dealing with issues of poor roads, lack of proper schools and hospitals, and improper drinking water facility. Recently, the agitated locals in Gilgit city held demonstrations over poor road connectivity that hampers transportation in the region.
चटोरखंड से स्कोमेट का जो डिस्टेंस है 20 से 25 मिनट का, इस रोड की वजह से 1.5 से 2.5 घंटे लगते हैं। गाहकुट से चटोरखंड का रास्ता आपको पता है मेटल रोड होने की वजह से 15 से 20 मिनट में गाड़ी यहाँ से वहाँ पहुँच जाती है और वहाँ से यहाँ पहुँच जाती है। चटोरखंड से स्कोमेट तक गाड़ी 20 मिनट के बजाय 1.5 घंटे में पहुँच जाती है बड़ी मुश्किल से।
Locals complain that due to the lack of attention shown by the authorities, the roads in Gilgit-Baltistan are in an absolute rundown condition that makes it difficult for them to travel even short distances. The poor condition of roads and the heedless attitude of the government not only make people's lives difficult, but also leaves the tourism sector in shambles, even though the region is blessed with an abundance of natural beauty. If the potential of the tourism sector would have been tapped, it could have alone solved several woes in the region. But it seems that the puppet government is busy filling its own pockets instead of working for the betterment of the people.
लेने के लिए इनसे लगना है, इलेक्शन के टाइम में सोचना है, तो मैं ये गुजारिश करूंगा आप सबसे अपने हक के लिए आवाज बुलंद करो। इनसे हक छीनने का वक्त आ गया है। जहां पे जुल्म होता है वहां जुल्म के खिलाफ नारा हक बुलंद करो। अपने जायज हुकूक के लिए इन करप्ट हुकूमतों से हम इनकी जायदाद नहीं मांगते हैं।
Roads are critical to any development strategy because they connect producers to markets, workers to jobs, children to schools, and the sick to hospitals. The government must address the demonstrators' basic needs in the Gilgit-Baltistan region. But to their dismay, neither the government nor the authorities are interested in the region's development, turning it into the most neglected and backward region of southern Asia.
Moving on to the festivities of one of the biggest celebrations in Madurai city of Tamil Nadu. Goddess Meenakshi is revered as the Queen of Madurai, which is also the center of her worship. Every year, the grand celebration of the Chitturai festival is held at the Meenakshi temple in Madurai, commemorating the holy union of Goddess Meenakshi and Lord Sundareshwar. Have a look.
Every year in the Tamil month of Chaitra, which usually falls between April and May, Madurai pulls a sea of devotees as the city's Meenakshi Amman temple celebrates the annual Chitturai festival. Commemorating the celestial wedding of goddess Meenakshi, a form of the supreme goddess, and Lord Sundareshwar, a form of Shiva, the festival hosts a number of events that are not just religious but also boast of the remarkable cultural continuity of the Indian civilization. Kodi Yatram marks the first event of the entire celebration. In this, the chief priest of Meenakshi temple declares the opening of the festival by hoisting the flag, which stays on the flag post till the end of the festival.
இன்னைக்கு கொடியேற்றம் மீனாட்சி திருக்கல்யாணத்துக்கான கொடியேற்றம் காத்தாலேருந்து நடந்துகிட்ருக்கு வெகு விமர்சனையாக. அந்த திருக்கல்யாணத்துக்கான முதல் நாள் இன்றைக்கி கொடியேற்றம்ன்றது, அதை நாங்கள் பார்க்குறதுக்காக காத்தால 6:30-7 மணிக்குள்ளே இங்கே வந்துட்டோம். வந்தால் இங்கே எல்லா கோடி ஜனங்கள் கூடியிருக்கா. அந்த சந்தோஷம் எங்களுக்கு, எங்கள் வீட்டு கல்யாணம் அப்படின்ற ஒரு திருப்தியில் நாங்கள் எல்லாருமே அந்த கொடியேற்றத்தை பார்த்து ரொம்ப, அதாவது உலக மக்கள் எல்லாருமே குரு பயிற்சி இன்னைக்கு எல்லாருக்குமே சகல ஐஸ்வர்யமும் கிடைக்கணும், மீனாட்சி திருவருளால் எல்லாரும் நல்லா இருக்கணும்னு நான் பரிபூர்ணமாக வேண்டிக்கிறேன்.
Pattabhishekam marks the second event in which goddess Meenakshi is crowned as the Queen of Madurai for the next 4 months. For this ceremony, the beautifully decorated idols of goddess Meenakshi and Lord Sundareshwar and his consort Periya Vidai are brought to the Arukal Mandapam, which is situated opposite to the temple's Sanctum Sanctorum. A female elephant is also prepared who walks in front of the deities as a part of the custom. Hundreds of devotees as well as tourists assemble in the temple to witness this whole divine extravaganza.
அம்பாலை பார்க்குறது, திருக்கல்யாணம் பார்க்குறது, சாமி கும்பிட்றதுங்கிறது இந்த ஒரு வருஷத்தோட பலன் அப்படின்னு நான் நம்புகிறேன். அதனால தான் காலைல சாமி பார்க்கணும், வீட்டிலேருந்தே கிளம்பி வந்திருக்கேன். இந்த அடுத்தடுத்து இப்போ லாஸ்ட் இயர் பார்த்தேன், எனக்கு அதுக்கான பலன் இந்த ஒரு வருஷம் இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ இந்த இயரும் பார்க்கணும்னு சொல்லி வந்துட்டேன். அதுதான்.
Meenakshi Kalyanam marks the most important event of the Chitrai festival. It is the grand wedding celebration of Meenakshi and Sundareshwar in the city of Madurai. The deities are decorated with silk cloth and floral garlands, and nearly 50 priests in the temple perform puja rituals and special prayers. A day after the event is the chariot festival, in which Meenakshi and Sundareshwar, who are now the king and the queen of Madurai, come out to bless the devotees on 2 aesthetically decorated wooden chariots. This ceremony attracts many people to the massy streets of Madurai, where the procession takes place.
என் பேர் சாந்தி. நாங்கள் நிறைய வருஷமாக அந்த திருவிழா தொடர்ந்து பார்த்துக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். இது உலக பிரசித்தி பெற்ற திருவிழா, ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கும். எல்லாருமே சந்தோஷமாக ஒன்று கூடி பார்க்குற திருவிழா. நான் 40 வருஷமாக கலந்துட்டு இருக்கேன். எல்லா ஜனங்களும் சேர்ந்து ஒற்றுமையாக இருக்கிற இது, எல்லா மக்களுக்குமே கலந்துக்கிறது.
The procession of Lord Alagar, a form of Lord Vishnu and the brother of goddess Meenakshi, is another main event of the Chitrai festival. It starts from his temple in Alagar Koil, a village in Madurai, and ends at Ramayar Mandapam on the banks of Vagai river. Amid the journey, devotees also spray scented water at the procession. Legend has it that after realizing that he could not attend the marriage, Alagar returned back from the middle of the Vagai river after giving gifts to his sister Meenakshi. The same is reenacted in the festival by taking back Lord Alagar to his abode in a floral palanquin. While all the other events of the Chitrai festival are performed in the south of Vagai river, this is the only one that takes place in the north.
I'm very happy in spite of lot of people around, we are able to see Alagar, and I wish Alagar will bless total Madurai this year and the whole Tamil Nadu also.
Celebration of culture and tradition, Chitrai is one of the longest and most important festivals of the Shakta sect, which is a major denomination in Hinduism dedicated to the worship of Devi or goddess. Little girls are given the most importance. Dressed in shimmering saris, they play the role of goddess Meenakshi, a young and beautiful warrior princess. It is something that can inspire girls to become warriors and rulers.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.